Ensara TV ekerenga kiomogusi.
10 billion is ring-fenced for specifically to be equally shared in all the constituencies in Kenya for the next financial year. Under the petroleum, the proposed allocations expenditure for the financial year 2024-2025 comprising the allocation for recurrent expenditure amounting to 27.325 billion and the allocation for development expenditure amounting to 3.875 billion be approved without any amendments. Chair, we request an additional allocation of 1.5 billion for the electrification of public facilities, specifically the last mile project intervention, and then an additional 1 billion for installation of transformers, and C, additional funding for the street lighting project of 500 million. Chair, the intervention that we are getting assistance from this committee, basically what we are looking at is the proposed 50 million per constituency. For us to achieve that, we have the 10 million that we are proposing fencing, that money cannot be used for any other purpose other than that particular purpose. And we are requesting you, your honorable committee, on this supplementary budget to give us 3 billion to prepare activities for the 10 billion, and further to give us 1.5 billion. Why? The total becomes 14.5 billion. If you take 14.5 billion divided by 290 constituencies, will give you 50 million. So basically that if were the worst case scenario that we cannot get any other funding, it will be our request that you consider the 3 billion and consider the 1.5 billion. I think that's all for now.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Always very knowledgeable and direct to the point. Thank you. Let me hear now Honorable Atandi.
Chair, thank you very much, and I want to thank the Chair, Energy, for such an elaborate presentation. Chair, I have two issues. The first one has to do with the outcome of our recent public participation. Chairman, I was in charge of public participation in Machakos County, and I wanted to just give the Chair feedback that the presentations from all the sub-counties complained about skewed allocation of energy budget in the county, and they complained that all the allocations are directed in your constituency. So I just wanted to give you that feedback so that you see what to do with it. I think it is in the report that this committee will present. My team will present to the larger committee. The other issue, Chairman, is that sometimes when we pass these budgets here, some to do with transformers, installation of transformers in constituencies and in important places, public places, then we don't get the details of even where they are being done. So when you go back to your constituency, you find that, there is zero completely. You don't get anything, yet you are here when they were passed. So I was going to ask you, Chairman, that in this list, it's always good to share with us so that at least we can see which constituencies are getting. This is also in line with the need for equity, as we pass the budgets. The other issue that I wanted to ask you is that there are stalled street lighting projects in my constituency. The processes were started, but there are stalled street lighting projects.
Okay.
Where the poles were brought in several places, public places, but they were abandoned. I don't know how that can be addressed. Thank you. Honorable Mwashako, then Honorable Nyakundi.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chair Energy, for the presentation. I want to just mention that the feedback the attendee is giving, I was also present, so I just wanted to confirm that. But I have two issues, Chair. Number one, this issue of 14.5 billion, that is 50 million to constituencies. If there's one thing that we have gone out, and I think even the president, everybody has spoken about it. So I think at this point, it should not appear like we have to shoot in the dark looking for money to raise the budget to 14.5 billion. Because I see it is in your wish list that this budget committee looks for some money in the supplementary budget so that you can start preparing for every constituency to receive 50 million shillings. I would appeal to you and your committee. I think this does not work for this budget committee. It should have come from you guys, because this is something that was in BPS. I'm sure the Minister, Chirchir, is seized with this matter. Treasury is seized with this matter. It should have come from you that you already have money in the financial year 24-25 for constituencies to receive equal share, so that we can defeat the skewness in matters electrification. But having said that, Chair, supplementary budget this supplementary tool has only a month for execution. So if you request us to get 3 billion to give to REREC, for sure, REREC, the REREC I know, I don't think they'll be able to absorb this money. And I'm even worried, we were discussing this even before in one of our meetings as budget committee. Even giving REREC 14.5 billion in the next financial year, it will be a tall order for them to absorb. Today they have a small budget, but they're not able to do these schemes in constituencies. Their members here are finishing a whole year. They're not seeing even one scheme done, and yet they have money at REREC. So even as you think of, as we give 50 million per constituency in the next financial year, REREC must, I think there's so much that needs to be done in REREC. Not only when it comes to procurement, their procurement tendering process is extremely long, and yet they have contractors who are already pre-qualified, but they take their sweet time. The staffing in REREC, every time I go to REREC, they'll tell you they don't have enough surveyors, they don't have enough designers. So as Chair Energy, I think your work is cut out. We'll give 14.5 billion in next financial year, but within the year, that absorption will be an issue, and we'll be asking you how far you'd go with that kind of funding. Thank you, Chair.
Nyakundi. Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable Kawaya, who's my organizing secretary in the UDA party. The 1.5 billion that goes to public facilities, I think this money is still going to several constituencies. So this money, there's no difference between this money and the money that is in the money that goes to different constituencies. So I think they should just be added up and divided among the different constituencies that we are talking about. And number two, Honorable Moshako has just raised the issue I just wanted to raise on REREC. I'm not sure if REREC is ready, because we are allocating them, I think, almost 14 billion more from what they used to get. How prepared are they in terms of staff, more especially surveyors? Because you'll get in a region, in one region, they have only one surveyor who runs Kisii, Migori, Homa Bay, and part of Bomet, right? This one person, will he be able to absorb this money when this money comes to maybe it's 4 regions, that is maybe 20 constituencies times 50 million, that is 1 billion shillings. With less than 200 million, they cannot be able to absorb. Now with 1 billion, what will they be able to do? So I think REREC should prepare themselves enough. I think they should add more staff so that they can be able to make sure that these projects are done on time and they're implemented on time. Thank you. But you've done well. You're a good man. You'll go to heaven.
Many constituencies in terms of electricity, and we know even during the campaigns, any village you could go, the community were requesting electricity. And it is better when we can consider or we can increase money to put more transformers and last mile. Chairman, I know one time these street lights were working very well. Let us say in the last regime. But this time round, even last budget, there were money for street lights. Even myself, I had requested up to around 5 towns, approved, and I received even the letter that those street lights were approved. But when I went to find out why they are not done, they told me that the whole money, over 400 million, were only allocated to 2 constituencies. That is your constituency and one from, I think, Kericho constituency, 1, and I can even name it. Only 2 for the whole budget. So I failed to understand why today again you are putting here 500 million, not unless you tell us here, or you give us a list where you have distributed this 500 million and you need more addition of 50 million.
I want to thank the Chair for Energy for the good presentation. I just wanted to find out in the supplementary you've reduced the allocation for the Sondu Homa Bay Ndiwa window project by 155 because of lack of absorption within the 1 month, but you have not returned it in the annual budget. So why? Because in the annual budget you have a whole year. So why are you not returning it in the annual budget? That is one. Secondly, the energy sector is one of these sectors that perplex me, even as we're asking here for a whole lot of things, yeah? But I don't know if it is only in my constituency or it applies in every constituency, that you put up one, the others are down. If you go into my constituency, the poles that are down, the transformers that are blown, and it's every week, and the ones that are being stolen, and it is stolen by the same agencies, that the contractors come, put them up, come and pick them up. What's going on? So it's I don't know, what is it that you need to do in this sector? Where are you not putting your money? Is it on lack of staff? Is it lack of capacity? Is it on raw materials? What is the problem? So that I'm even shy asking, because you ask, and I know even if you install next week, it will be either blown or down. Yesterday, somebody just spent their whole afternoon. I was even showing some members here, just showing me poles that are down and which are very dangerous to people. So sometimes you really wonder what you should be doing in circumstances like that.
Is reducing money for public facilities, then under additional requests, is asking for the same amount again. So would it not just be fair you let that one remain where it is and then ask for additional to make you have 14.5 billion? So in terms of just consistency of reporting so that it becomes clear. The other issue is, Mr. Chairman, if you look at the reductions, you are reducing 1.6, which you are adding for last mile from public facilities. But in your request for additional funding, you're asking another 1.5 for public facilities. So I'm saying, why don't you retain this one where it is, and then just add additional to make the figure of 14.
I will explain.
The 14.5. Then the other issue is the issue of this street lighting. Does this include the floodlights for the markets or things like so? And if so, normally, what is the criteria for this street lighting? How does a member access this? Do you write to REC, or is it? Because I think that's the issue of Honorable Robbie is asking, that we have a clear criteria in terms of how this issue of street lights, floodlights in the markets is sorted out. And my last question, Mr. Chairman, we have so many transformers which were installed by REA, when it was REA, before it became REREC. And these transformers are just still in place. Like in my area, I have more than 10, which are never been operational at all. They just remain transformer there, nobody's connected, they don't serve anybody. Is there any strategy of making them be operational? Because I remember at one point I approached the PS, they promised they will come. They came, did their survey and disappeared again.
So you find people are saying we have a transformer in our neighborhood, but it doesn't serve us. So I think as a committee, since you oversight them, it will be important just to find out what is happening and what is the strategy to reactivate them. Thank you.
My issue is on the matching fund, Honorable Kawaya. On the matching fund, the policy as it is now is a sharing for a sharing up to a maximum of 5M.
Yes.
And that means if I give 10, you'll still give me 5.
Yes.
And 20 like that. And I don't know whether I'm of the opinion if we can review that. At least it has been 5M, I think, for quite some years.
Yes.
I'm of the view if we can review that to at least we increase the limit, maybe up to 10 or 15. Or we can even say a sharing for a sharing without a limit. If I give 20, you also give 20. I would want to hear your views on that.
Let me start with the Honorable Atandi. It is for that same reason that we want to cure the problem of inequitable distribution. First of all, let me also put it straight that what you hear out there is not necessarily the fact. I've also had a wild allegation that there is some 400 million worth of street lighting in my constituency. It is practically not possible. And you and me know that one street lighting project costs about 2 million or thereabout, or slightly, maybe 1 million or so. Those will be like 300 to 400 projects, and you should have seen me commissioning them. I mean, it is just not true. Maybe the basis of that information, we may need to get a little bit more information about it. But generally what we are saying is that as a committee, we have said that energy is an emotive area. Is one area that even I can't rest in Parliament because every other person wants to be connected. We want to move towards this direction of a CDF model for electrification in future. So that in future...
Continue, Honorable Kawaya.
Yes.
Members, we have another session, so prepare yourself psychologically. We have to. No. Members, even if you refuse, we just need a quorum, honestly. Tomorrow is equally packed.
Yeah.
So there's no... In fact, we had to postpone 2. We will be having 3 more. No, Roots is the best for this time, honestly. Yes. Please continue, Kawaya.
All right. All right, thank you. So I was saying that we would be happy with a future of the energy be modeled along the way CDF.
Just members, that's why I kept telling you to be brief in questions. Now you see? Yeah, continue.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, if you allow me, I will continue. All right. So saying even as we move into the future, Chair, this is the route we want to take, is that for available resources, the Committee on Energy moves towards ring fencing. That money, through this method we are trying to use to have at least there is specific line in our recommendations in our budgets that says this money is ring fenced for constituencies for equal share. I think that is going to cure most of our problems. It is, of course, our hope that other committees may also consider doing the same so that we all get 1 kilometer of tarmac, but we are ready to do that. Chair, again, let me also address an issue that was raised about stalled street lighting projects. Honorable member, if you allow me, then I can pick up that matter and with Kenya Power to know why those projects are stalled. And then maybe probably give you a personalized response tomorrow. So if you can text me the name of the project, I will pick it up and ensure that whatever it is that is causing the delay is worked on. There is a member who has asked about 14 billion, and the question was why, if you look at our budget, there is still some little monies left over and above the 10 billion But honorable members, there is honorable member who has raised the issue of matching, for instance. If you have your 50 million, for instance, and you still want to do matching projects, and you have given the 5 million and you want another 5 million, then where do we get this 5 million from? Basically, what it means is that there are two things that the ministries run with a lump sum sort of money, so that if we were to ring-fence every single cent, it will cause two problems. First of all, you will have to collapse that project of last mile, matching. Then secondly, all these projects you are seeing currently being implemented, and you bear me witness in your constituencies, there are projects that were as old as 2 financial years old and probably not yet implemented or are just about to be implemented. It means that these monies you see allocated here are actually continued projects to actually finance ongoing delayed projects, because at the end of the financial year, all the monies are returned. So basically, what you've seen in the budget, you can't now, like, if you pick every single cent, and then over and above the 10 billion, it means that everything else collapses, and what is ongoing now has to stop. So the other thing is the question of why then do a reduction of 1.6 billion, and then we are seeking for another similar amount. We actually are not doing a reduction. We are just trying to secure that money, so that money must be used only for purposes of equal share for constituencies. There is a new line that has been created by Treasury for that purpose of equal share. And that line has only 8.4 billion. We are trying to move part of this money, which is currently being used for financing ongoing projects, to move it from there to be part of the money that needs to be ring-fenced. So that now we do not ring-fence 8.4 billion, but we ring-fence 10 billion. Of the 10 billion is that it must be understood what we received from Treasury for ring-fencing is only 8.4 billion. And we are saying that since we have another line under REREC that has some money for similar purpose, we now move this money, which is lump sum, and ring-fence it so that it's part of the equal share. The other issue is the Sondu project. Sondu project, like I said, has absorbed only, they have given the actual figure that Sondu has absorbed now. So around 100 million. Yes, and now, if you look at the current financial year, out of the 400, they absorbed 427, they absorbed 100. So they still have the rest of the money. So now, on this financial year, we have given a similar amount that if they were to absorb with the same rate, we have given 373 million under the current financial year. So if you look at the estimates, there is 373 million for Sondu. Yes.
There's a point of order from Honorable Robbie.
Chairman, say that I said the 400 million went to your constituency alone. It's not true. Yeah. I said the last 400 million, which was in the budget, went only to 2 constituencies. That is yours and Belquid. That's what I say. I didn't say that the whole amount went to your constituency. Yeah. So I can clarify that. Okay. And that's why now I was asking. Now, today, we have 500 million here. My constituency missed, and I had allocated like 5 towns with the street lights were even announced to my people. When I went to find out, already the money had been shared. And you remember, even called you one day, I asked, then you told me, when you bring here, at least we can get direct indication that if it is Kuria constituency, we'll get this. Yeah. If it is Mwala, we'll get this out of this 500 million. We are ready even to increase this 50 million, which you want. At least if you can share this money to more constituencies, we have no problem.
Going forward, Chair, honorable members, this committee has powers if you have any allocation that you want, because if you look at our allocations as an energy committee, from Treasury are usually in the tune of 50 million to 100 million for street lighting projects. This committee has the power, because you are the master of the resources, to allocate 1 billion and ring-fence it to these same members in every constituency. Just the same way we have said, as a committee, we have said that even with the challenges we are facing as a committee of ongoing projects that we don't know how they are really going to be funded, we are persuaded that the right move is that monies are ring-fenced for each of the constituencies and move in an equal share. So we are saying that if you find it useful, Chair, then this committee, in its wisdom, can give us 500 million for electrification of for street lighting projects, and then ring-fence it so that it is shared equally in all constituencies. We have no say on that particular.
Chairman Kawaya need to tell us whether, as we speak today, before we add in the supplementary,
yes,
do we have money for street lighting? Because Kenya Power, every time you go there, you go with a letter from a PS or a CS.
Yes.
They will say, this is just a letter. And they have been saying, up to last week I was there, they said they have no money for public, for street lighting. Now you're asking us to add some little money in the supplementary. The question is, as we speak today,
yes,
do they have money for street lighting before we add?
As far as the committee is aware, yes, they have money. And let me also appraise you members. Let us also not be, okay, some of our institutions can also be cheeky. In the last financial year, I think our allocation to last mile projects for Kenya Power, just to make you understand, was basically 11 billion, which was reduced to 6 billion. And that time, the 6 billion, of course, members would want to know how much of the 6 billion is going to each of the constituencies. But it is this story, when you go to a place like Kenya Power, you are told, oh, because one constituency maybe has 100 million, then all the money is there and you cannot continue with the projects. That is why we are saying, going forward, these stories that you hear there, which is just part of it is just stories, that members know that we have ring-fenced 10 billion. None of the sagas can divert this money. If this money is already moved from Treasury to the department, it cannot be diverted for any other use. Capacity for REREC to absorb money. REREC has the capacity to absorb money. And actually, if you look at the recurrent, it has increased because they have also hired more. And that is not even the issue. The rate of absorption with REREC, the reduced rate is because of unavailability of the money. So this goes also beyond this committee. Once monies have been allocated, that money may not necessarily be available tomorrow. It requires all of us to make concerted efforts to ensure that money is coming from Treasury. This money is given first priority. The issue of commissioning of projects. We have many projects that are finished by Kenya Power and are not commissioned by REREC. They are finished by REREC and not commissioned by Kenya Power. And part of the interventions that we want to, because we have already, through policy, allowed REREC to procure meters, we seek maybe to push this agenda forward so that this equal share of the 50 million, we demand that the projects be done to completion, that the metering is also done by REREC. I think this is going, because this is a lot of money, and if we do what has been done in the past, then we are going to have 14.5 billion worth of projects done by REREC but not commissioned. But if we insist that the metering aspect also be done by REREC, then we are going to make progress. Then there was, this one I answered because it was a question of how can we increase the matching fund. But remember again, I said this matching fund must come from somewhere. While we are here, we have ring-fenced most of the money. Members will come with the request for a matching, and that money has to be sourced from somewhere. So it is maybe an issue we can have a discussion as a committee and see, based on the allocations we have, and in the past history, to see how many members commit their CDF monies to this kind of matching project. Can we be able to increase to 10 million and still be, I agree with you that this 5 million has stayed for a very long time. it could be about time that we increase maybe the matching fund to 10 million, but then that also must be commensurate with our current budgets.
No, what are you doing about the vandalism that is going on, more especially a whole substation? You find a whole substation, someone has gone there and cut wires, a whole substation. What are you doing about it? Maybe...
We have given
that is the last question.
Yes, we have given our free advice to Kenya Power to implement. A transformer can be as expensive as 1 million shillings chair. Yet a tracking device is only less than 5,000 shillings. It makes me start thinking that the biggest problem we have with vandalism is our very own institutions. Chair, a commoner cannot use a transformer. If you go and take off a transformer, where will you sell it? We have a local assembly of transformers in this country. That is one of the areas we need to check if these vandalized transformers are taken for us to buy again. Because I am persuaded to believe that only a person will take down a transformer if they knew where they are taking these particular transformers. Because transformers, even in their handling, are dangerous things. You can only put it in some high power lines. And therefore, if they were being taken somewhere, they can't cross the borders without casting any aspersions. But I think that there is little cost that can, and this is an advice we've given, that by simply implementing tracking devices, small tracking devices that would cost less than 5,000 shillings, you can be able to track down a transformer wherever it is taken, and that would be the safest way. The other issue we've discussed before is maybe engaging the locals in the community policing schemes to ensure that nobody, even if it's a Kenya Power guy, comes to touch a transformer, take it down without some sort of explanation, without the chief coming there, without all villagers understanding what is that is being done.
Ensara TV, ekerenga kiomogusi.